Thank you to CuriosityStream for supporting PBS Digital Studios. Hey smart people, Joe here. NASA is awesome, you know that. They've sent robots across our solar system, they've sent people to the frickin' moon. Humans are living in orbit right now. And in my opinion, there are three things that made all of this possible: inspiration, perspiration, and coffee. I mean, look, coffee, 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 coffee.
That's correct.
Wait, enhance. Yep, coffee. I'm willing to bet the most important liquid commodity at NASA next to rocket fuel is coffee. But if coffee is so important to our space program, how do astronauts drink coffee in space? Don's an astronaut. He's already spent more than a year of his life in space, and he really wants to go back.
I would love to spend a year in space.
Me too. Or would I? A year-long mission is a really big portion of your life to spend off planet Earth. I mean, think about everything you've done today, this week, this month, and then imagine leaving all of it behind. I asked Don what he would miss.
Outside of family, okay, because the number one thing you miss is your family and your friends. Outside of that, I can honestly say I don't miss anything from planet Earth. You could fly like Peter Pan. You can look out the window. So there's always something incredibly different that you can only do in space that fills in all the holes that are left from not being a creature on planet Earth anymore.
But here's the thing, I don't believe that, because Don and I share one important love in life: coffee.
You and I have talked about this before.
Yeah, I'm a
You're a
coffee
coffee fiend. I do not believe you that you can get a great cup of coffee inside the International Space Station.
Okay, most of the time you are absolutely correct. The standard cup will not work in a weightless environment. You know, the cup that we're all used to drinking.
Wait, I have a stunt cup right here.
Oh, a standard cup like this does not work in a weightless environment. It requires gravity to hold the fluid in the bottom of the cup, and it requires gravity to allow the fluid to flow out when you want to take a sip.
Honestly, until I talked to Don, I'd never really thought about how we drink. I mean, when you raise a cup to drink, it feels like you're lifting the liquid into your mouth. But this really only works because in normal Earth gravity, the liquid is trying to fall and the cup isn't. Up on the space station, there's still gravity. It's just that everything is falling all together. Our 1G ideas just don't make sense in that 0G environment. If you squirt liquid into a normal Earth cup up on the space station, it would just stick to the edges and the bottom, no matter what direction you turn the cup.
I guess you could stick your tongue down there, kind of like a butterfly drinking nectar out of a flower or something, but our tongue isn't long enough.
Right. It kind of sounds dangerous, actually, when you start talking about really hot liquid sloshing around your face.
The NASA engineers have come up with a perfectly fine engineering solution. It's called the drink bag.
Yeah, so basically juice boxes in space. Coffee was not meant to be enjoyed from a bag. It's a travesty, really. I can't even.
Perhaps 70% of the effect of a cup of coffee comes from the smell.
Oh, right.
And when you're drinking it through a straw from a bag, you do not get any smell. So it's more like flavored hot water that's really a mechanism for getting caffeine into your body.
So Don identified a problem. He wanted to actually enjoy a cup of coffee in space. So he decided to invent a solution in space.
I've got it right here. And this is a zero gravity cup. And I actually made this on STS-126.
Okay, well, what I have here is a little cup I made from an overhead transparency film that I found. I've also got a bag of coffee, and we can suck our coffee out from a bag, but to drink it from a cup is hard to do because you can't tip the cup up and get the liquid out, and it's also easy to slosh. So with the special shape of this cup, the surface tension forces will wick the coffee up along the edge there.
You don't sit around, you float around, right.
Okay.
And I was floating around, and I got there's this eureka moment. I remembered some stuff from school, and I got this idea that if I made a cup with this shape like this, with this acute angle, then fluid placed in this cup will creep up the side with the acute angle and park itself right next to the lip.
Just by letting go of his preconceived notions from Earth and letting physics and engineering guide him, Don figured out a whole new way to drink in space just by changing the shape of the cup. So how does it work? Water is a special molecule. It's polar. One side of each molecule has a semi-positive charge and one side has a semi-negative charge. So kind of like a molecular magnet, water sticks to itself and it sticks to the container it's in. That's why when liquid is floating free inside the space station, it forms almost spherical shapes, and why it will stick to just about anything it touches. But beyond the physics, this cup makes one super important part of the coffee drinking process possible.
You can smell your coffee.
That was not an easy thing to solve. Down here on Earth, the aroma of coffee only rises because gravity pulls cooler, denser air down, which pushes the warmer coffee vapor up into your nose. It's called buoyancy-driven convection, and it just doesn't happen in orbit.
If you've got an off-duty day or an off-duty moment, you can prepare your bag of coffee, and then you squirt it in here, and then you can really enjoy your coffee because you can sip it slowly and you can smell it. Drinking from a cup is an example of something that you do not realize how important that ritual is or how common it is in your daily routine until you can no longer do it.
Don has a patent on this cup. This coffee cup is officially the first thing invented in space. It certainly won't be the last, but this is a total change of mindset. I mean, think about the possibilities that opens up for how engineers might approach future questions. I mean, if we want to invent a future in space, we have to invent a future in space. You just can't do some experiments down on Earth. Working with a research collaborator down here, Don has continued studying how liquid flows in zero-G and improving the space cup design on other missions.
This is generation 2.
And you know they scienced the heck out of this thing. The back of the cup is round, and it's got a narrow angle on the drinking side. That angle gets gradually narrower near the top, so as liquid is sipped off, the cup automatically draws more up. And for the past few years, astronauts have kept experimenting on the space station every time they have a cup of coffee.
The shape of this,
Okay.
there's no art in this at all. It's strictly defined from the mathematics of fluid physics applied in weightlessness to make an open container.
That's a really cool thing to think about. I mean, Don just let engineering principles and physics guide the form of the cup, not art or aesthetics. Yet in the end, he still created something that looks like a sculptor designed it. And he's even continued evolving the design down on Earth.
So that's generation 1.
Generation 1.
That's generation 2.
Generation 2.
This is generation 3. I make these in my garage, and I've got a kiln, and I learned how to cast porcelain as a kid because my mother liked to make slip cast porcelain. And I didn't think I'd ever have a use for that. And so here I am using all of the skills that my mother taught me to slip cast porcelain these zero-G cups.
And apparently it's good enough for the Museum of Modern Art in New York because one of Don's cups is now in their collection. It was donated by Italian astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti.
If you understand your science correctly and then you do your engineering to make something useful from your science, it should have an artistic measure to it.
This is so cool that something that started as this free-floating kind of curiosity experiment led to real science that patents new inventions in orbit, and then art and something that you're enjoying on Earth all together.
Listen, I love coffee. Don loves coffee. Maybe you love coffee. But this is about more than that. It's really important science. Understanding how liquids behave in zero G is a matter of safety, and it will help design better technology for everything from cooling systems to space toilets to rocket fuel pumps. The kind of stuff that keeps astronauts alive and safe so they can go do the next thing that's never been done before.
Every once in a while, you go into the frontier and you make an observation, and it's like, whoa, I have no idea why that happened.
And that's where science gets done. Stay curious. Hey guys, I'm on the road, I'm in a hotel room, and I'm having a cup of coffee. I want to say a big thank you to CuriosityStream for supporting PBS Digital Studios. If you don't already know, CuriosityStream is a subscription streaming service that offers a variety of documentaries and nonfiction titles from a bunch of different filmmakers. And their collection includes a bunch of CuriosityStream originals, like Miniverse. Miniverse is brought to you by another astronaut, Chris Hadfield. He was the guy doing that cool washcloth water experiment on the space station that you just saw. Chris takes you on a road trip across our solar system, only scaled down to the continental United States, so no spaceship required. You can learn more at curiositystream.com/smart, or just check the link down in the description. You know, up on the space station, they say that yesterday's coffee is tomorrow's coffee because they recycle their pee to make their drinking water. So, bottoms up.